MAFM522, welcome to week 5. Yeah, week 5, we've made it. Week 1 through 4, you've all done a fabulous job so far, and I've enjoyed reading your work and seeing your interaction with the material and your interaction with one another. Once again, it's a lot of the learning environment will come from that. And so here we are on the home stretch, 2 more weeks. Push through, keep pressing on, and we're going to kind of bring 1 through 4 together for week 5 and 6 by looking more practically and programmatically. And I know that for a lot of us, this is where our brains work, right? We study the theory, the practice, we look at the biblical and the theological, and then we think, well, how does this all apply? How when the rubber meets the road, when we really look at a couple, we want to help a couple, or we're in a church or in a ministry, we really want to help marriages grow. What are the practical organizational things that we need to do? Now, I'm not going to provide all those answers. That's something for you all to discover, because there's such richness in the room right now from each one of you. And that's what I'd love to hear from you all. Look at your own context, discover new context where ministry is happening, and let's find out how we can apply what we've learned so far and what you knew already previous to this course that you're taking. So take all your learnings together. Let's just try to do a sharp job, and for the next 2 weeks we want to look at how to put this on in a programmatic ministry, whatever that may be. There's so many ways of ministering to couples, whether you're focused on a specific segment, dating couples, engaged couples, early married, crisis couples, middle-aged couples, to enrichment. My wife and I recently are having a tremendous amount of work that we're doing with empty nesters. So middle-aged couples who are just seeing their kids kind of move out of the house, and they're looking at each other going, now what? And so we're sitting down with these couples and walking through, how do you reinvigorate your marriage, or how do you help overcome certain bad habits that have been introduced, and the conflict that inevitably happens, but it's gotten ahead of them. And so there are segments, and so you could do a general, like, hey, we want to reach all couples kind of thing through our ministry, or it's a specific segment of couples. And what I'd like you to do this week is think more in a specific realm, because it'll help you process things a little bit, and then process it in this class. And you can use exactly something that's going on, or you can bring something else out, especially if you don't have anything particular. So look at all the material. We're going to introduce a new book this week, Fighting for Your Marriage, and we're going to read this over the next 2 weeks. And so we're going to read the first part of it, chapters 1 through 8, this week. Now, this book is going to seem like what you just read in the Gottman book, but also it's set in a But the important thing to remember, is set in a context of using an assessment with a couple and then building kind of a ministry around. So that's why I've also included the piece that I have written about impacting marital health within a local church context, using the Prepare and Enrich model. And so I want you to read your 8 chapters. I want you to read my dissertation on that material. And what specifically I looked at was, I measured the results of the small group material the group material for Prepare and Enrich program. And so I took 25 couples through and measured those results. My wife and I taught those 6 lessons over 6 weeks, and measured those results and wrote it up. And so what I'd like you to do is interact then with this dissertation, and with the material chapters 1 through 8, and then introducing other material from outside of that, and begin thinking about how to form a ministry. On a side note, by the way, I also want you to read this Impacting Marital Health piece in the local church, because I want you to see what empirical research looks like, what social action research looks like. It's important for you to process this dissertation, not just because it's mine, but because for your own research for your own capstone project, this is an important example of what that looks like. About having several authors join together in a conversation of processing the material, trying to go to original sources as closely as possible, and then publishing it or writing it up, and you join the conversation. So it takes a great amount of critical thinking and research and work, but this will be an example for you to look at, and then content-wise, you can go from there. Now, as far as building an organizational ministry or building a ministry, you are at the level doing the Masters of Arts and Family Ministries that the expectation is that you're studying at a little higher level than what like a volunteer at a church would do, right? A little higher and then above. You are seeking to become the subject matter expert. They also call that the SME, S-M-E. So you want to be the subject matter expert in your context. So you're studying this. So if some of you are going to go the direction of youth ministry, so you're getting this MAFM, and you are learning all this material, and people will turn to you and that you can apply as the subject matter expert. Some of you are going to, I know at least one of you, Julie, is interested in working with remarriages and you're passionate about that ministry. And so if you're taking this material and that being an example, and you become the SME, the subject matter expert in that. It's not just being the expert, but it's more about working at a higher level so that you can minister with a greater impact. That's the idea, right? So because of that, I'm going to ask you this week to process how to apply and organize a ministry or program, and we may do it on a smaller scale. Like in other words, it could be lead a couple's Bible study kind of thing. Now that's okay. A volunteer at the church could do that, but I want you to process it at a little higher level if possible. So how does that Bible study for couples blend with other ministries for couples in the church? Or the para-ministry, so not just the church, because I recognize that some of you are going to go church direction or church or just para-ministry. Some of you may even end up with, and you presently are working in the secular arena, but you're going to apply what you learn in this Christian context to your secular arena, which is fabulous. You're getting a Master's of Arts in Family Ministries, and you're going to apply that in the field of social work, or working with Department of Job and Family Services, or if there's an agency that is helping couples directly, you're doing that. So we want to think a bigger picture on organizing, and in light of what we've learned about couples so far. Question of the week would be, how do you organize for greatest impact on couples? So with everything that you know so far, from the sociological research, the biblical and theological foundations, and the practical that you're learning on how a couple sees health and healing and vibrancy. So that's what we want to pursue this week. Once again, my virtual door is always open. Shoot me an email. I appreciate the patience from a couple of you this week. I was in a conference all week and tried to get to messages as soon as I could, and so my apologies if there was not a quick turnaround on some, but I'll continue to try an effort to get a 24-hour turnaround on each time you would reach out via text or email or whatever it may be. So let's have a good week together, and if you have questions, don't be afraid to reach out.